So what does the Otis gun cleaning system that many of you may be familiar with have in common with Civil War cavalry troopers? This week on the 11th OVC, how cavalrymen actually clean their firearms. Infantry manuals, ordnance returns, and field training all taught infantry soldiers to properly clean and take care of their weapons, from washing it out with warm or even hot water to using the ramrod to actually clean and finish cleaning and dry their barrel. The infantry soldier had what they needed to actually take care of their primary arm. But how was the cavalry actually supposed to clean the bore of their carbines with no ramrod to push or pull a patch through? And of course, we're not including the Infields or the other carbines early on in the war, or even earlier in the 1850s, that obviously came with ramrods. We're focusing on the vast majority of carbines in the American Civil War for cavalry troopers, which of course was a variety of breech-loading carbines. Which means the average cavalry trooper had no rod to properly clean the bore of their carbine. So the question is, what did they actually do then? And the reason for this video, like many other videos that we do, is that through experiential archaeology, or if you want to call it reenacting or living history, you start realizing these problems that you don't read about or haven't heard about in the primary records. Issues or problems that are so mundane and everyday and have been solved for a while that the original cast doesn't even think this issue is important enough to put it in their letters, diaries, orders, or other important documents. But that's what we're going to solve today, is finding out exactly how did the cavalry solve this problem of actually not having a rod, but cleaning the bore properly. And using my own personal experience, I remember going into a reenactment or a battle, firing, let's say, 40 rounds from my Sharps carbine, heading back to camp and seeing all these infantry soldiers that were also in that reenactment swishing warm water down their barrels, using their ramrods to finish cleaning, of course, drying out the bore of their barrel. It was at that time that I realized that while I could easily use warm water to dissolve the fouling and clean the action, the breech, of course, with 40 or 50 rounds out of a Sharps, that breech kind of seizes up pretty easy, that I knew I could pour water over it, being water soluble, that I could clean the bore out with warm water, but I had no way to actually finish cleaning and, more importantly, drying the barrel on the inside. There was one time that I tried using boiling hot water, thinking that I could swish it around, clean it, pour it out, and it's hot enough that it just evaporate without really rusting the inside of my bore. Well, nope, that didn't really work. So after that, I tried finding long, skinny sticks that I could shove down the bore with patches on it to try to, again, finish cleaning and drying out the barrel, only for them to get stuck, break off, and then at that point in time, I still needed a ramrod to push through the broken stick to clean my gun. Now, I may be a little slow, but after all of this, I began thinking, you gotta solve period problems with period solutions. The military had to figure something out to give cavalry troopers with their breech-loading carbines a way to properly clean and dry their barrels. Now, one thing I did run across is that there were actually jointed, screw together ramrods, or not ramrods, but cleaning rods in a garrison type equipage, but they weren't quite perfected enough to issue to soldiers in the field during the American Civil War. For the most part, there's some exceptions to that. But of course, the jointed rods that you can stick in the stock, they just quite weren't a thing yet. So the Army's solution to this problem was to design a bristled or wire brush connected to a leather thong. And again, this wasn't the first time that the military did this. There's actually examples of this going decades before this, and of course, decades later. And this is why I introduced the video this way, because when I first learned or saw the Otis gun cleaning system, I think it was like, what, 2003, 2004, something along those lines, that I cleaned my guns with, different than just the standard push through or pull through rod. I thought it was revolutionary the first time I saw it, and come to find out, it was something the military had been doing pretty much since the dawn of firearms. But more specifically, the original examples that actually were used by federal troopers in the American Civil War were a natural bristle or wire cord brush screwed to a small brass ferrule with a round leather thong, sometimes double-ended, that was attached to that brush. So the soldier could pull the brush through the muzzle to properly clean the weapon versus using the ramrod, which is, I guess, pushing and pulling on a muzzle-loading weapon. One thing to keep in mind is that period ordnance doctrine distinguished among these appendages and cleaning implements for small arms. And again, it's important to know that what we call brushes, they actually listed in the ordnance returns and field forms as wipers. Now, of course, what I like for the ignorant me, I like that under wipers, they put in parentheses on the ordnance return, brushes, to make it a little bit more clear on what we're talking about. And because we see these in the ordnance terms and other field forms, it's pretty evident that the Federal Army actually issued these thongs and brushes to the soldiers themselves. But the question is, how common actually were these brushes? And maybe it's just me, or because I'm ignorant, or I do these research rants, I've been doing living history or reenacting for quite some time, and I had never come across these brushes. I didn't know they were even a thing until I did research on them, and that was, again, years into being, quote, a living historian or reenactor. So after finding out these things existed, my question kind of ultimately was, then were these issued to every single soldier? Did every single carbine come with these brushes and thongs? Or was it something that came in every toolkit from the manufacturer for every single carbine? Or was it something that only, let's say, the NCOs or the ordnance sergeants would have and then pass around in his squads or groups, or at least to his individual troopers? Well, the rabbit trail of diving into whether they came with the actual manufacturer and the toolkits for each and every carbine, I'm getting conflicting information, still doing a bunch of research on that end, so I'll have to save that for another video. But the good news is that the Federal Army actually included this specific item, or these specific items, in the quarterly or monthly ordnance returns that they kept track of for each and every federal regiment. So of course I pulled up all the federal ordnance returns by branch on the research arsenal, which made it super easy to do so. And honestly, because I was kind of lazy and didn't want to do all the 270, 290, almost 300 regiments of cavalry during the war, I did a, quote, representative sample and focused on the Michigan Brigade in the quarter, or actually the days leading up to the Gettysburg campaign in late June of 1863. And as a quick review, the Michigan Brigade included the 1st, 5th, 6th, and 7th Michigan Cavalry Regiments. Now, starting with the 1st Michigan Cavalry in these ordnance returns, they listed in late June, just days before Gettysburg, 213 Sharps carbines with 38 Burnside carbines for a total of 251 carbines. But they only listed 42 brushes, or, quote, wipers, which means that only 17% of that regiment actually had, partnered brushes with their carbines. Looking at the 5th Michigan Cavalry, they show 479 Spencer rifles, and of course we know this because they were made famous at East Cavalry Field in Gettysburg. Ironically, at this point in time for this return, it just showed those Spencer rifles with not even one other carbine. No, not one Sharps, not one Burnside, not one Merrill. I find that interesting. They definitely were like 100%, in air quotes here, 100% outfitted with Spencer rifles, which may indicate the next bit of information. So they had 479 Spencer rifles and 213 brushes, significantly more than the 1st Michigan, but still just around 45% of the carbines, 45% of the Spencer rifles actually had brushes. Again, significantly more than the 1st Michigan and their carbines, but still nowhere near, one brush or one brush thong combo for every single carbine or rifle in this case out there. Then moving on to the 6th Michigan Cavalry, they had 251 Burnsides and 93 Spencer rifles for a total of 344 primary arms. And how many brush, thong, wiper combos they have? They show 166 brush thong combinations, which equals about 48%, or let's just round about half of that regiment again, had their carbine, brush, thong, pull through cleaners or wipers for that regiment. Lastly, the 7th Michigan, they had 178 Burnside carbines, but only 34 brushes in that regiment, meaning only 19% of their carbines or Burnside carbines had the brushes with their carbines. And to put this in a singular or say aggregated kind of perspective, the entire Michigan Brigade only had 38% of their carbines with brushes. So these numbers lend me to believe, or maybe indicate, that the actual brushes or wipers that we're talking about were kept with NCOs rather than every single soldier. In fact, we know it wasn't every single soldier. So maybe this is something, I'm speculating here, so you can bash me on the comment section if you want, but it leads me to believe, at least for the Michigan Brigade, that this was the case. Now I've got to be careful and clear that I'm specifically taking a random sample, say the Michigan Brigade in the summer of 1863, June of 1863. And there I've run across other regiments that were in the 90%. I've run across other regiments that were almost close to zero. They had 3 or 4 wipers total in the entire regiment. Of course, as you guys know who've done research in these ordnance returns, not everything is as it appears on these ordnance returns because entire companies are left off the rolls. But again, it's a good piece of information to say that while kind of going back to the whole, did they come with the manufacturer and the toolkit for every single carbine, it is interesting that at least on the ordnance returns, and you compare that to anecdotal evidence where soldiers or entire companies or entire outfits were equipped with new equipment, they had significantly more brushes and wipers than other soldiers or other regiments did with, say, quote, older firearms. So again, I have a lot more research to do. I'm not going to do another video on whether they came from the manufacturers or not. I am getting conflicting information on that, but I'm kind of leaning that way, that at least for the breech loading carbines, that brushes or these wipers may have come as standard equipment in the toolkit of these carbines. Again, I'm sure you guys who are geek out and nerd out on the manufacturer side can probably solve that problem right there with what you know. You can just comment in the comment section below on whether that was the case or not. But again, I am getting conflicting information. But all this to be said, it is interesting and something to note when it comes to what the cavalry did to clean and wipe out, and more importantly, dry the bores of their carbines. It's also worth noting that 2 firearm manufacturers actually have pretty good information and literature that illustrates that they actually did come with brushes or, quote, wipers with thongs on them, and that's the Smith carbine and the Sharps carbine and or Sharps rifle, the Sharps firearm in general, that they actually came with the toolkit, their brushes or wipers. But again, that's just for those 2 firearms. I'm trying to figure out, aggregated, of course, all the carbines, whether that was the case or not. But carbine brushes with their attached thongs aren't too uncommon. It shows my ignorance as a reenactor early on in those early years that, you know, I've never even heard of thongs. I thought this was something that we just had to shove sticks down in there and solve that problem and clean and wipe out the bore. But when you actually do some research, imagine that, right? Do research. You'll find that these wipers, bristle brushes with the thongs on them aren't too uncommon. You can find them pretty easy at auction sites, antique stores, collectors, private collections. They're kind of all over the place. I mean, in fact, myself, I've collected more than half a dozen of these things over the years. They consistently describe them as natural bristle carbine brushes on a twisted wire and brass ferrule with leather thongs, which are anywhere between 24 to 40 inches long. The variability of reflecting caliber, maker, and whether the thong end was captive or threaded to detach for the ramrod varied. However, I must express my ignorance on this topic because when I started collecting these original, pull-through wiper thongs for carbines, they honestly, to my very untrained eye, look pretty modern to me. Like, say World War II, Vietnam, or even say World War I or Spanish American. I still honestly don't know what the specifications were, the design, or say Ordnance Department requirements were on them, like including the length, design, materials, etc. But of course, that's more research I need to do personally. But one thing is for sure, they were issued and in use during the American Civil War. So to sum this all up, where the infantry used the ever-present ramrod with a wiper or brush, the cavalry relied heavily on these pull-through brushes with leather thongs, which were light, flexible, stowable in a saddlebag, and quickly used after a fight or rainy march. The same brush could be unscrewed from its thong and threaded onto the company or garrison rod for a more thorough cleaning in quarters. And what's interesting with that threaded brass ferrule on the end is that modularity, meaning the brush thong combo in the field or the brush rod in the barracks, was the hallmark of Civil War cavalry maintenance and reflects the Army's at least trying or efforts for a pragmatic response to the unique logistical issues brought on by breech loading carbines. Now, before we end, I gotta make sure that I acknowledge that there's definitely some gaps in research here in this video. I must admit that I really don't know much about them other than the fact that we can prove they were issued to some carbines. They were definitely listed in the field in use on the ordnance returns, both the quarterly and some of the monthly ordnance returns and some of the receipts given in the field. I really don't know that much about them. Like I said, to the untrained eye of myself, these actually look pretty modern. But what I will say is that looking at the numbers of brushes versus carbines in the field for different cavalry regiments, the numbers are actually all over the place. There are some regiments or even companies that have almost 100% issuance with brushes to their carbines, and there are other regiments that are close to zero, at least listed on the Ordnance returns. It seems to be more varied and nuanced than the picket pin lariat or nosebag conversations that we've talked about previously. But either way, I strongly recommend you guys doing your own research in this topic yourself. And if you want to actually look at these returns yourself for the volunteer or even regular federal cavalry regiments, check out the Research Arsenal database and filter by Ordnance returns, by cavalry, and of course, whatever quarter or year you want to talk about. And if you actually look on the third page of these cavalry returns, you will see exactly how many wipers or brushes that they had with them in the field. Which brings me full circle to where I came from, comparing the wiper with thong to the Otis gun cleaning system that at least my generation or many of my peers you were issued in the military or as civilians fell in love with, as far as the go-to pull-through cable cleaning system for your rifle or carbine or pistol. They did that 160 years ago for cavalry troopers in the American Civil War. Comment below what you guys think. Did you know that Civil War cavalry troopers actually had something identical to the Otis gun cleaning system that many of you guys know today? Or did you not? Is this something completely new? Or were you like me, trying to shove sticks down the barrel trying to clean them? Hopefully not. Hopefully I'm the only ignorant one like that did that. But please check out our references, our research are in the description below. And of course, if you want to support our channel, the best thing you can do is go to theresearcharsenal.com and join one of the fastest growing Civil War research communities out there, or simply comment below on your thoughts to this video. And of course, until we see you in the field next time, ride hard.